Hello friends, welcome to this video session on Bamas KARUKKU, the explanations of the chapter 8. This is the continuation of my video or the discussion made in the chapter 8 part 1. This is also part of the discussion of the paper Compulsory Foundation Course in English, the 4th semester English language paper for BCA and BSc at Mangalore University. Welcome to this video session. In this video session, we discuss Bama's past experience and particularly her experience at the convent and her perceptions of the convent people's mindset. She observes in her that the perception or the way the people at the convent grasp the dalits, and she refers to them through different instances in this part of the chapter 8. Let's see some examples that she brings in, and through the individual examples, how she constructs that kind of theme supporting the attitude, a relegated attitude towards the Dalits in India. So in her stay at the convent, Bama observed no connection between the constant prayers at the convent and the actual practice. She has already mentioned in earlier part of the chapters also, there was no connection between what the principles they followed and the action they were doing, right? The connection between the principles and words and the deeds wasn't there. That was the thing she focused earlier also, and she mentions again that the constant prayers, they spoke of the goodwill, whereas their actual practice did not have room for that. The prayers were said only as a duty, and they were not actually said with heart and giving entire dedication to the God. Actual behavior and practices there could hardly be described as truly Christian, because the true principles of any religion, even Christianity for that matter, demand certain kind of devotion to the prophet or the God that they say. So here they were doing everything as a kind of pretense. There was no room for actual practice, or it wasn't done in the meaningful way. That's why she considers it as there was nothing in them as truly Christian. The nuns were required to take the three woes of poverty, chastity and obedience and serve ordinary people. So you see, the three vows are for poverty, chastity and obedience. But in practice, they did not follow this. Let's take the example of poverty, for example. It was a vow or a pledge or a oath that take in the beginning to remain in poverty or lead a life of poverty, but they were living in luxurious life. Therefore, where is the practice of that vow? It was just for the sake of taking vow, but not to practice in life. That is what Bama is trying to question here. Then Bama felt this seriously as she had faced poverty in her life, and before entering there, she experienced poverty in her life, and people living in the name of poverty, living or enjoying luxuries caused a lot of hurt to Bama and disappointment to her. However, Bama did not see even the traces and tracks of poverty among them. Yeah, that's why she did not see any trace of poverty among them. We could only go round and round with our luxurious cages trapped in comfort. What a beautiful language used here. See the metaphor she uses here. We only go round and round within our luxurious cage. That luxurious cage is nothing but that convent where they go round and trapped in comfort. They are trapped in comfort. I think antithesis, trapped and comfort. Comfort is a positive word, trapped is a negative word. Trapped in comfort, they were made to remain within the convent. Then we also go ahead here that nuns spoke eloquently of universal love, but they expressed kinship only with the rich. See, they talk of loving everyone and love towards everyone, but there was no practice of that. It was only one section, that is the rich and the wealthy were actually loved by them. That was the thing. Then also we observe in practical life, the nuns hardly practiced the vows, and they had taken before entering the order. The vows are just for the sake of performing ritual or fulfilling the requirement. It wasn't to actually adopt in life or practice in life. That was the thing. And we also see the perception of Dalits particularly by them. Many in the convent did not even know what does the word Dalit mean. I mean, what does Dalit mean? What are their status? They did not know what Dalit mean, but they speak of serving the underprivileged Dalits or the poor in India. Furthermore, the few who knew had an inferior opinion of Bamas community also. That is the thing Bama is trying to focus in this part of the chapter. They had very inferior opinion of Bamas community as well as Dalits in India, right? So you can see they had negative derogatory attitude towards them. In her early days at the convent, the nuns did not know that Bama was a Dalit. Yeah, we came to know in some instances earlier. Many inquired Bama that who was she, from which place she came from, what street she belongs to. These are the things to explore, to which community she belonged, or was she a Dalit or not. These are the things they wanted to know. So therefore, in the beginning, they did not know anything. She wondered if they would treat her, if they came to know that. Yeah, she wondered then whether she receives proper treatment when they come to know about her origin as a Dalit. Bama explains that many people in that convent did not even know what was it meant by Dalit, right? They did not know what was meant by Dalit. That's already expressed earlier. So therefore there are lines here. How can we allow these people to come into our houses in any case? Even if we were to allow them, they would not enter our homes. They themselves know their place. See the talk that she catches and quotes here. How can we allow these people to come into our house? In any case, even if they were if they were to allow them, they would not enter our homes. They themselves know their place. That is the way they have attitude towards them. So she particularly therefore explains the attitude of them. Bama explains that many people in that convent did not even know what was meant by Dalit, and they had a very negative attitude, and their words indicate that here very clearly. There is nothing we can do for these creatures, and we shouldn't do anything for them, because to do so would be helping cobras. What a sick attitude you can see here. Helping Dalits is like helping cobras. That means they had an opinion that in the end they would turn towards them and they will bite them or poison them. That was the attitude they had, and the comparison of Dalits into cobras is such a sick attitude. And where is humanity and where is service then? That is what Bama finally questions by referring to these individual instances. Look at one more opinion. Even if we were to do something for them, they will never make progress. Their nature is like that. Their natures are like that. That is the attitude of them again. So these are some of the picks, lines that she remembers and quotes here in this chapter 8, towards the end of the chapter 8. These days, these people go about as reasonably dressed, so you can't even make out who they are sometimes. Look at the way the attitude of the peoples in the church is there towards Dalits. And we also see the government does and gives another sentence. The government goes and gives these people all sorts of privileges. Why do illiterate people need all these things? See, Dalits were considered as illiterate, and they had this opinion also. Why do these people need all these things? That's the other question they had. So, and she mentions that these sentences, because if they ever had to speak about Dalits, it is only unpleasant and ugly. They tended to categorize it as Harijan, and she felt pained and hurt about these things. So I think the attitude of people is explored through the bitter words they spoke, the derogatory usage or abusing attitude, abusing words that they had towards Dalits. Bama was transferred to a different place after 3 years. That is the next thing we notice. Then within a month, she was asked to move 5 times. I think the repeated transfers or repeated shifting of her was also due to her rational attitude and the questioning mentality. This happens in any bureaucratic setup where a kind of punishment was like this. Anyhow, she was assured that all this was done as the authorities were guided by the Spiritus Sanctus. They claimed that it was guided by Spiritus Sanctus, by God's message. They are doing so. Bama wondered if the Spiritus Sanctus was so indecisive that transferring repeatedly 5 times within 3 months. That is the question she had towards them. In the end, she was sent to another big school for wealthy children, and she was shattered by that. She never wanted to serve the wealthy. She wanted to serve the people who needed service, who wanted some kind of solace or some kind of relief from distress. Therefore, she was even totally shattered when she was again sent to some wealthy school. For some 5 months at this school for privileged children, Bama gritted her teeth and gave it a try. She gritted her teeth. That means she tolerated, but she gritted her teeth. That means clenched her teeth, right? She couldn't brave it after that. Thereafter, it wasn't possible for her to face this. She quit that position there and returned home to face other difficulties. And you see, returned home to face other difficulties. That's another way. ಸೊ ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರಲ್ಲ, ಬಾಣಲೆಯಿಂದ ಬೆಂಕಿಗೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ಆ ಸ್ಥಿತಿ, ರೈಟ್? ಮತ್ತೆ ಪುನಃ ಅವಳ ಅವರ ಜೀವನ ಮುಂದೆ ಕಷ್ಟಕ್ಕೆ ಹೋಗ್ತದೆ ಹೊರತು ಅಲ್ಲಿನೇನು ಅನುಕೂಲವಾಗ್ತದೆ ಅಂತ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಬಟ್ ಇನ್ ಕೋರ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಟೈಮ್ ವಿ ನೋಟಿಸ್ ದ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೀರಿಯನ್ಸ್, ದ ಬಿಟರ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೀರಿಯನ್ಸಸ್ ಇನ್ ಬಾಮಾ. ಅವರ ಜೀವನದ ಬಿಟರ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೀರಿಯನ್ಸ್ ಸಪೋರ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಹರ್ ಟು ಗೋ ಹೆಡ್, ವಿಚ್ ವರ್ ಬೈ ನೋ ಮೀನ್ಸ್ ಟ್ರಿವಿಯಲ್ ಇನ್ ನೇಚರ್ ಅನ್ನೋದನ್ನು ಕೂಡ ನಾವು ನೋಡ್ತೇವೆ. ಎನಿಹೌ, ಫೈನಲಿ ದಿಸ್ 8th chapter like that reveals Bama's realization of the attitude of the convent people and authorities towards Dalits. And she found the gap between the prayer and practices at the convent. She definitely found, it has been referring to that, the gap between the prayer and practices, the words and deeds that was there. And by realizing the attitudes and by realizing the gap between the prayer and practices, and Bama decided it was not a place for her and she quit that. And Bama's experience at the convent paved way for the rational attitude in her, and she quit the place. And now through this writing of Karukku, she made a protest against that prevalent, the prevailed or existed or even existing pretense at the places like this church. Anyhow, so we will take up the discussion of the last chapter, chapter 9, in the next video which follows this. Thank you for watching this and see you in the next video.